Welcome to the Career Wanderlust podcast, your compass for new career horizons. Today, we are speaking with Alan Dunton. Alan is a 25-year communications industry veteran with a broad range of expertise and insight from both agency and client-side position. Adam is currently an SVP and Partner in the technology division of FleishmanHillard. In the past, he has held leading principal and managing director roles with other top agencies such as Shift Communications, Grayling, and Triple Point, as well as spending time in-house with Multiverse and Big Point. Since joining the profession, Alan has remained fascinated with how stories about companies, people, and ideas are shaped and shared. He loves how creativity and science fuse together to shape the most impactful programs. In addition, in 2020, Business Insider named Alan one of the top PR professionals in technology. He's also a member of the Ocean Cleanup's Global Comms team, a Dutch nonprofit technology company that's fighting to eliminate plastic waste in our oceans worldwide. I just want to say thank you for that. And I'm excited to learn more, Alan. Thank you for joining us on the Career Wanderlust podcast.
Happy to be here. Thanks for the intro. I should bring you to meetings.
Yeah, anytime, Alan. It's kind of my specialty.
And like most great PR people, I hate talking about myself. So I appreciate it.
Isn't that such the thing, though? I find this very funny because this is always fascinating. PR people are so good at promoting their companies and their clients, but it is such a struggle to promote yourself. It's so different, isn't it?
We're taught from the very beginning to kind of stay out of the way, right? To make things that we're promoting, our clients, the companies, the individuals, make them the star. So I like being in the background. For sure.
I know. I mean, I'm curious, actually, based on that, have you done podcasts before?
Yeah. Often.
Yeah.
Not
But
a ton. Clients, obviously, a few lots more.
Exactly.
But when given the opportunity, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah. It's always, it's nice to have experience on both sides, don't you think?
100%. 100%. Just from a practicality perspective, it just helps us counsel our clients better to know what the process is like and what it feels like and how to prep for it. So
Completely. Well, and also to feel that vulnerability too. I mean, not everybody feels it, but I know for myself, look, it took me 4 months to press publish on my very first podcast episode in 2020 because there's so much internal chatter that's not super positive when you step into something new that you've never done before.
it's hard to put yourself out there, which is why I think a lot of individuals, thought leaders, have a hard time sometimes hitting send on the final draft with an op-ed or a contributor article. Got their name on, right? And their friends, their colleagues, their peers, their competitors, et cetera, are all going to read it. So it ups the ante a bit in terms of pressure to make sure that it's right.
Exactly. And so it helps to understand how that feels too, so you can counsel them through that. I mean, not only are you counseling them on the best way for them to come across in all of their communications, but really, I'm sure there also is a lot to do with just the internal confidence of making some of those steps that are brand new, if you will, and having your name on
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
ownership of that.
You work with all kinds of people, and some are very gregarious and you love to talk and talk to anybody. And some are less so. And,
Right.
oftentimes they just need coaching to build up the confidence to be able to put themselves out there and to know that what they have to say is interesting and they're coming from a position of knowledge and expertise. And they don't have to have all of the words perfect, but they're going to say something that the person they're talking to is going to find interesting. So
Yeah,
sometimes we're just coaches in that respect.
you really are. It's interesting because that's not something that PR people always talk about, but you are all coaches in that aspect. So, Alan, you've worked your way up through to some of the highest levels in your industry. I'm curious, has there been a piece of career advice or a belief or something that's helped carry you through that's helped you reach these levels?
Yeah, absolutely. There's three things, and I wrote them down in preparation for today,
I
so
love
I
it.
didn't screw them up when I got to them. The first one is universal. It's never stop asking questions. And something that I like to talk about with candidates a lot is the curiosity factor, especially for new folks entering the space or individuals that are looking to move from one industry to another. If you don't know something, ask. It seems simple, but a lot of folks are afraid to ask questions. They think that it might reflect poorly on their expertise, their knowledge, their experience, et cetera. I think it's the opposite. And a lot of the smart people that I've had the opportunity to work with, I think would agree. Asking questions as PR people is really the best way for us to not only prepare ourselves, but to prepare our clients.
I agree.
It helps us interrogate briefs. It helps us really get to the heart of an issue, point of view, trend, It helps us deal in situations that are less pleasant, like crisis type of point. You got to keep asking questions until you're fully satiated that you've come at it from every particular angle, no matter what the subject is, and that you feel good.
And this is important for every position out there,
Yeah.
right? I mean, really, we need more of this in our world, period, if you
100%.
ask me.
Um,
And being able to admit that you don't have all the answers to everything, and then going to ask the people who may have been there, done that, and getting all the information and the research. It's a very powerful thing, and these are the leaders we need. Absolutely. So thank you for sharing them.
no, I mean, when we do media training, we always counsel clients that if you don't know an answer to a question, it's okay to say I don't know. That
100%.
that's our own advice, right? We have to take
It's
that and practice
it's
that.
powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next is read the room. And so really understanding what is happening, not just, in the moment, but in the broader scale of an industry, of an economy, of a sector, understanding what's going on is going to help us be better informed
Right.
to do the work that we do.
Let me ask you this, because this is important. What helps you read the room? Because look, some people actually struggle with this a great deal. You know them, I'm sure. We've all come across these people. We're like, read a room.
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah.
something that helps you or advice that you would give to help other people have more awareness or attention around
Yeah.
those?
I don't think there's a magic formula for it. And I don't think there's one answer for it. But depending on the situation, you need to know what's going on in the world, first and foremost. I focus mostly on technology. And the tech world right now, as you know, is incredibly volatile. And so when we work with clients, that's the backdrop that we have to engage within. So understanding that they're under a lot of pressure as a business, their market's under a lot of pressure, the country's under a lot of pressure, et cetera, et cetera. These things matter. So just having a baseline understanding of what's going on in the world is huge. So if you've got a couple of days and you haven't opened the news or you haven't watched TV, like do that. And so that you can be a little bit more prepared for any kind of situation.
On the advice.
Too. And then one of the things that I benefit tremendously from being at an organization like Fleischman is there's so many smart people that study very specific things. Talk, learn more about how they see things. Get some perspective from folks you don't normally work with. All of that kind of contributes to your understanding of what's going on in the moment, which you can then apply when you get in the room.
Absolutely. I find that is a key to success for people. The people who sit and talk to anybody and everybody, because there is something to learn from every single person we come across. And a lot of people will stay in their circle, if you will. And I find that the ones who really open themselves up to learning, connecting, growing with all of the people everywhere are the ones who really skyrocket. So that's great advice.
The last piece actually goes all the way back to college. I had a professor who stood up one day. It was literally like journalism 101 or something, reporting 101 maybe.
Mhm.
And he wrote on the board in chalk, which they probably don't do anymore, never work for free. And that was the message, right? And it meant a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But what I interpret it as is absolutely get paid for the work that you're doing, know your worth, and make sure that what you're doing is something that you feel good about. You're getting something out of it, right? As you've seen from resumes, as you see from my resume, you're going to change jobs a lot. You're going to work with a lot of different people. You got to go where you think you're going to get something from somebody, where you're going to be able to grow, where you're going to be able to expand your skill sets, where you're going to be able to be well compensated, et cetera, et cetera. You should always be looking for an opportunity that's going to push you and then reward you in some sort of meaningful.
Oh, I love that. I love how you took that never work for free. There's so many different ways that you can take that and learn from it. I also love that that was one of the first things that you got in college and has stuck with you all those years. Those are just invaluable pieces, little nuggets of wisdom, when they're dropped at the right time. That's fantastic. Alan, through your career, I am sure you have had a lot of different experiences that have been impactful. I'm curious if you could share one or two with us, a story of something that happened that you learned something from it, and maybe by sharing the story, it could help other people as well.
I thought a lot about this question in advance. There's all obviously in PR and communications, especially in agency setting, it's a lot of interpersonal relationships. And as you mature, as you're supposed to mature, you learn about interfacing with people, right? And the complexity that it kind of creates. I haven't always been perfect at. I'm definitely rubbing people wrong. I'm sure I've offended people. And so I think in the moment when something like that happens, when you don't click with somebody, when you butt heads, when you run into some friction, taking a minute after that and trying to reflect on what led to that particular moment, and trying to address it in a way that's going to be productive is really the best advice I can give. You're going to learn a lot. There's going to be lots of training. There's going to be lots of tools and technologies you're going to be exposed to. All of that stuff is going to come. How you interact with people is really important. And especially as you climb the ladder, so to speak, you need to be able to interface with different types of people. You need to be able to motivate people, reward people. You need to give people advice and feedback, et cetera, et cetera. And really understanding what makes individuals tick is super, super important. So the most impactful thing for me have probably been situations where I have not done that well, and I have figured out how to potentially do it better the next time.
And that is so important. Look, this is one thing that I'm really passionate about because so often when things go wrong, you can have a challenging relationship or, something will go wrong in a work type of relationship, if you will. So often it's very easy to look at the other person and be like, oh, well, they did this or they did that. And this wouldn't have gone wrong if they had done that. There's so many ways you can say that, but I find it's most powerful to look at what you did. Even if all the things that they did were wrong, maybe how you interacted with that, or you could have stepped in a different time, or you could have asked a different question or anything. But just taking that time to evaluate and see, well, is there something I could have done differently? Is there something I could learn from this situation? These are the powerful questions that make us better, that make us grow and make sure that we don't fall into the same cycles moving forward, right? And so it's actually, this is something that's really important for everyone to be thinking about.
Absolutely.
That self-evaluation goes a long, long way.
I think the other thing is, and again, if I focus on agencies, so I spend most of my time in agencies, finding individuals that you aspire to want to be, right? And so you're going to work with a lot of great people. I've worked with a lot of great people. I try to take something from each of them, like style, point of view, tech, whatever it is. I go, that's really cool. I see how that works. I need to do that. Hopefully it's flattering and they appreciate that. Hopefully I'm not stealing, but finding people that you want to replicate or really learn from, sort of build your own skill sets based on how you observe them navigating the world is also, I think, super important and a great opportunity that exists within the agency structure because there's so many really talented, creative, smart people to learn and grow from.
Absolutely. Oh, there really are so many great people to learn from. I love that. And you're right. I mean, really, our superheroes, if you will, are everywhere. They really are. And we can find them all around us. And personally, I love your method. I think this is what we all should be doing is looking around us, finding things that we really love about people and bringing them into our own selves and becoming this combination of all the best of the things that we find out there from the people around us. I think that's a beautiful way to live and move forward in life. So I say it's definitely flattering, and that's what we should all be doing.
Sure. Seven.
Now, what about challenges? I mean, we've all faced big challenges. What's a big challenge you faced in your career? How did you overcome it? What did you learn from it?
There's been a lot at this point in my career, 25 or so years in, there's been 3 or 4 really good economic downturns. And which
Been there with you.
if that's two is you're right there alongside us. So they are not pleasant situations for anybody. And you learn how to prepare for those situations every time you go through one. You get hopefully a little bit smarter about it to be mindful of what the signals are in advance. And then you certainly gain experience on how to mitigate them when they're happening. COVID was probably another example that I would add in there in terms of just the disruption it had to the space and to the workforce. Although crazily enough, everybody seemed to be going like gangbusters during the COVID era, but it was still very challenging. So in those moments, especially if you're, on a leadership team, you come together and you have to be incredibly communicative with one another. You have to be fully transparent about what's happening, what the impact is going to be, what the ramification of that impact is going to be, and then what the communication plan is around. In our industry, there's pretty high standards for the communication flow amongst the teams. So making sure that you nail that is super, super critical, and trying to be considerate of all the different angles and concerns that exist. Generationally is also super different. This is something we're up against quite a bit. When you've got folks like me that are older and you've got folks that are younger, we're all seeing the world and kind of experiencing the world in different ways.
Right.
And so when something bad happens, There's the Gen X way of solving problems, which is not the Gen Z or the millennial way of solving problems.
Sure.
Making sure that you've got representatives in the room that can help you be cognizant of what those concerns, those sensitivities are, is also super important. But I think just kind of working through those big tectonic moments in our industry have probably been the most impactful for me, above and beyond all the good client work and challenging client work and stuff like that that's come and gone over the years. It's dealing with those macroeconomic trends that have hit us, and how we've navigated them has been really the most enlightening part of the job.
And what helped you during those times? Because look, there's a lot of people struggling right now. We're definitely going through this highly unique time. You've been through other difficult times in this industry. What helped you in those hardest struggles that you went through? Like, what would you share with people who are feeling that right now?
You're going to get through it.
Yeah.
It's going to pass. It might be rocky. It might be bumpy. It might feel like it's not going to get better, but it will. It always will. I think that's the one constant, is change. And so just because it's bad today or today doesn't mean it always will be. So you got to have a plan. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're good at. Focus on that. Surround yourself with really good people that share in the mission. Work together as a team, and you can go out and solve the problem together. I've always been really fortunate to be part of great organizations with great ownership and management levels and structures that have rallied behind us when we've been hit by some of these things that are completely outside of our control. And it's nice. I know that not everybody has that kind of protection. Not to say that hard choices are made, because they certainly are, but you don't feel alone. And I think if you find yourself working for an organization where you feel alone, where you're kind of out there on your own, maybe not the best place for you to be long term. Find an organization that supports its people, cares about its people, invests in its people, and makes ultimately the best decisions for the team. That's the advice I can give on that.
Yeah, really good advice. And thank you for saying exactly what you said in the beginning, that this will pass. And
Pass.
because look, it will pass. And you can know that in the back of your mind, but sometimes you don't always feel it when you're in that struggle, if you will. And what it is it's a losing of faith, right? And so that's what it is. That message is, have the faith. It will be okay. You will come out the other end. And I can say this absolutely, because I've been doing this for a long time. I've been talking to all those people. I've been in this cycle, and every time this cycle happens and I hear from all those people and they're in that spiral and there is a lot of fear, they're scared. All of those people ended up in a wonderful position at some point, something that made them happy, that moved them forward. At some point, they found that thing and they moved on. So it's going to happen for them too.
As
Thank you.
as unpleasant as it may be, it does make us better. I think it helps us reevaluate what we do, how we do it, the standards that hold ourselves to. And again, it helps us be a little bit smarter about seeing this maybe coming down the road the next time. Not that we have a crystal ball, not that anybody can predict anything, but once you've been through it a couple of times, you start to develop a bit of a muscle for responding to it in a smart way. But as you know, the job continues to change also, right? Like when I started in PR, there wasn't really the internet. And now there is.
And
Um,
now, so you went from that switch of like not really internet to the internet
I
really taking everything over.
I won't name the firm, but I remember this was not the first firm I worked for. It was somewhere in the early firms. And one of the things they advertised for the role was that everybody had their own internet connection at their desk. Like that was a thing to talk about, which was crazy because, in Silicon Valley, we had the internet relatively early. But the job changes a lot. A lot of ways we do the job change. The expectations for the job change. It's the same job. We're still trying to make things that we represent look good. We're still trying to get people to engage. We're still trying to drive, some sort of action amongst a community of people somewhere. The ways we do it have just changed, and the mechanisms we have at our disposal to help drive some of that work has also changed. But the core of the job is the same.
What are your thoughts on the changing landscape with AI?
We're fully embracing that. It's a magical world to be doing right now. The tools that we have at our fingertips that can help us accelerate our ability to do our job, there's really no case for it to replace us, at least for the foreseeable future. It looks like in 25 years, who knows? But the tools that we have at our disposal now really do help us accelerate our ability to do research, for instance, in such a way that we couldn't ever do before. And we're building tools at Fleischman and deploying them across the network that are really innovative in terms of how they enable our team members to get work done, never without the human intelligence, the human expertise but the scale these tools enable us to benefit from is incredible.
Yeah.
We're doing the same things. We're just doing them in a more automated fashion in a sense, We used to do a ton of research if we were going to prepare a brief for a particular client on a subject that they cared about. You would be limited to the number of people on your team and the amount of publications they could read in a day to get there. That's no longer the case. And so I think the intelligence that we can provide, the counsel we can deliver is going to be better informed really than ever because of the availability of the AI power tools that we now have at our disposal. So I'm excited about it. I think it's great. Like I said, I don't think it replaces any of the human intelligence yet, but I think it can help us. Like internet helped us do things a little bit differently. AI is helping us do things a little bit differently as well.
Absolutely. Is there something new, like a new AI trick you've learned recently worth sharing?
Sure. So we can leverage AI to build synthetic audiences at Fleischman. We have a whole team of people, as you probably expect, thinking about and learning about and building technology for us. And one of the coolest things that I'm excited about, because I've just rejoined Fleischman after a bit, is this synthetic audience capability we have. So let's say we want to pitch, let's say we want to reach CIOs first. A client has a product, they want to reach CIOs, and we want to make sure the messaging is just right. We can basically build a bot essentially that is the culmination of a lot of different CIOs and the perspectives and the things that they care about and read about and know about. And then we can use that platform to test our messaging in advance before we take it external. So we can refine it, we can sharpen it, we can make sure we're addressing comments, questions, concerns they might have. And our success rates, once we go through that exercise, our success rates are then bringing things out into the wild are up considerably.
Fascinating.
And
Thank you.
it's like we're building focus groups, but we're using technology to do it, and we can do it really, really quickly. And it takes maintenance and management and some expertise and stuff like that. Once it's built, the value that it delivers to the teams that are using it is really interesting.
Incredible. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's really helpful. So, I mean, it sounds like you're doing a lot of really interesting things at Fleischman. Like you said, you used to be with Fleischman, you went off, did some other things, you came back to Fleischman. Tell us, I mean, what is it about Fleischman that you love? I mean, what are some of the good things that brought you back there? And out of curiosity for anyone, who might be interested in working with Fleischman, is there something that the company looks for in their talent?
I think, so happy to be back at Fleischman. I came back primarily for the people. There's a number of folks that are still here from when I was here originally.
That speaks
And
volumes.
they are amazing at what they do. And there's a lot of new people that I've met who are just incredibly talented. And so if you're doing PR and you like agencies, Fleischman's the best in the business, and full stop. I mean, the way the teams work, the way we're built, the tools and technologies we use to get the job done, and the expectations we have for ourselves with respect to the service we provide to our clients, it's unmatched anywhere. That was really cool for me. Obviously, the investments in technology and AI, also super interesting. From I come from, was doing a heck of a lot of work in that space as well. I think the scale at Fleischman is just different. So it's enabled the team to have access to more faster, which is great. And then finally, I think just the opportunity to scale what I do is a factor as well. But really people, and the way we do the work, the expectation we hold for ourselves, and then just the size of the operation are really what attracted me to come back to Fleischman.
Fantastic.
And I couldn't be happier, by the way.
That's fantastic. I'm happy for you, Alan.
Uh,
So, before we wrap up, I always like to ask people about how they feed their mind. I just think this is very important that we're all feeding our mind in a proactive way. Is there something that you have either read, you watched, or you listened to, something that had a positive impact on your life that others also could benefit from?
I think it's all of the above, to be honest. Again, I don't think there's a magic answer for that. I'm not going to say read the New York Times every morning or subscribe to this Axios newsletter. They're all great. They're all super informative. Find some you like, read them. Don't read them. Listen to some podcasts you like. Try new ones all the time. Ask your friends, ask your colleagues what they think is interesting. I keep a list. We have a running list of everything that people recommend. It's quite large. But every time there's something interesting that people think others should know about, we're sharing that. So you're subscribing to it, you're listening to it, you're checking it out. Do that. Just again, be curious about what people are doing out in the world. If you're interested in technology, there's a gazillion ways to get informed about technology. If you like almonds, there's a ton of things you can read about almonds to get knowledgeable about that space and understand what the dynamics are in that particular industry. So whatever you're curious about, go out and find the voices, that are driving conversations within that space. And I think the pro tip on that is it's not just traditional media anymore. Go to a Substack, right? Discord, find the communities of people that care about the things that you care about, join them and participate.
Okay, super random question. What have you gotten really curious about lately that wasn't work related that you found yourself diving into information hole about?
So this is going to be crazy, but Victorian home insulation.
Please tell me why.
I'm in a very old house. This is wallpaper from the 1800s.
Amazing.
So we're in the process of getting started to remodel our top floor, and I'm doing the demolition. So ripping apart all the walls. I've always wanted
Oh
to
my
do
goodness.
demolition.
That's a big deal.
Our contractors didn't want to do it because it's too high up and they didn't want to carry it all out. So my wife and I are doing it, which is a lot of work, arduous. But we're going to insulate. And it turns out insulating an old Victorian house, the way they were built before insulation was a thing, is very technical and very confusing. So just to know what the heck is going on and what our contractors might do, I've gone down a big rabbit hole on Reddit, learning all about how Victorian homes are insulated. It's polarizing. There's a lot of opinions that I find
Different. Oh,
interesting to learn about.
that is fascinating. This is something I've never thought about ever.
Right.
And so I love when your mind just is like, oh, wow. And by the way, it's my dream to live in a Victorian home. So it's good to hear these things.
Well, they're great. They're drafty. So that's why you need insulation.
Yeah. Well, mine's real drafty and it's not a beautiful Victorian home. So I'm still holding out for one. Congratulations to you on getting there. Alan, this has been so much fun. Thank you for joining us. Before you go, I'm going to throw out my last final question because I like to know what people have to say. What are you sure of in life?
I'm sure that your friends that you make along the way will be your friends for the duration. You know, the people I met and were close with 20 plus years ago and on the job are still my friends. Those are the people that you turn to and get advice from and mentorship from and get work from, etc. So hold them close because they do matter.
It's all about the people, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Alan. It's been wonderful. I appreciate you joining us on the Career Wanderlust podcast. Thank you for joining us on the Career Wanderlust podcast. If you find value in learning from others, give us a like and subscribe. If you're looking to grow your communications, marketing, public relations, or sales and biz dev team with the best talent and quickly, check us out at paradigmstaffing.com and submit a request. We are wishing you a most successful and fulfilling career. Until next time.